Hello and welcome to InvestorToday.ca. I'm your host, Dave Glover. InvestorToday.ca is brought to you in conjunction with RBL Communications, your online IR specialist. We're coming to you live from the Chicago Resource Expo in Rolling Meadows, Illinois. It's Friday the 27th of April, and I'm sitting here with the CEO of Focus Metals. You may remember Focus Metals if you saw my interview with Mickey Fulp, one of the three companies that he's looking at in the graphite play. I want to welcome Gary Economo. Gary, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Dave. It's
very
great to
nice
be
to
here.
sit down with you. Well, we heard a lot about Focus Metals when we sat down with Mickey Fulp, and I understand you've got a world-leading flake graphite deposit at Lac Knife. Can we talk about that?
We sure can. Yes, we do. The Lac Knife deposit has been around for about 20 years. It was first discovered by a company called Mazarin.
Okay.
And the objective of the Mazarin exploration program was to diversify the town of Fremont from the iron ore dependency.
Right.
And therefore they discovered the Lac Knife deposit, which is the highest grade deposit in the world today. It's sitting at 16%.
Wowzers. Well, can you give our viewers if you can, an overview of Focus Metals and how you came to be a part of the company?
Yes, I have a technology background. I came from the high-tech industry, spending 30 years in building high-tech companies. One of the companies that I work with was an agency selling graphite products in the thermal management sector. So selling products like heat spreaders for the Apple iPad and a variety of handheld devices. Those products are made using flake graphite, and especially exfoliated or expanded flake graphite. So when the opportunity came up for me to run this business, I took a look at the deposit and realized that this is probably one of the best, if not the best, deposits in the world, and it was a market that I knew very well from the end user point of view. So
Right.
I jumped on the opportunity to take Focus Metals and turn it into a leading graphite company today.
Right. And how long have you been with Focus Metals?
2 years.
2 years. Wow. Now, because of your 16% grade, you've positioned Focus Metals as having a potential to become the lowest cost technology graphite producer in the world.
That's correct. Typically, technology-grade graphite is useful at about 95% carbon content or 95% grading. So for us to produce 1 ton of 95% graphite, we have to process 6 tons of 16% ore.
Wow.
Whereas most of our competitors, should I call them, or other companies in the industry, they have to process 40 to 45 to 48 tons of ore to get 1 ton of 95% graphite. And that includes companies all over the world, because most of the deposits around the world are anywhere from 2 to 6%. There are a couple of exceptions, one in Europe that is 8% and higher, which is a very nice deposit as well. But in general, the graphite deposits are low grade.
Right. Well, your 43-101 resource calculation was published in December. And did it alter your understanding of Lac Knife's commercial viability?
It really didn't alter it. In the most part, it confirmed what was already known by the insiders and some of the industry, because being a discovery that was made 20 years ago, about $9 million has been spent on the project already by people that own the property before us.
Right.
One of those companies was GraphTech, and in their quest to find a deposit to build plates for the fuel cell industry, they discovered that the Lac Knife deposit was one of the best, and
Right.
they invested a lot of money in creating a viable deposit by doing the metallurgical work, all the drilling. They produced 2 complete feasibility studies over the years, and the project almost went into production.
Oh, fabulous.
So a lot was known already, and we just confirmed it because a lot of the old reports were non-43-101 compliant.
Right.
So right now, over the last 12 months, we have produced the 43-101 resource calculation. We've completed our new metallurgical study. We have accomplished quite a few things in a short period of time over the last few months, including bringing in 2 major rounds of financing.
Fabulous. Can you give us an idea of the share structure of Focus Metals right now?
Yes, we're just under $100 million shares, and fully diluted, we're at about I believe it's 118 million shares.
Wow. So there's still plenty of room there for investors to get on board.
There is. We're trading right now at around the 90-cent range, and we believe that over the next 12 months, with our scoping study coming out fairly soon, with potential offtake agreements that we've been working very hard on with a number of different players over the last 12 months, we believe that there's a very good opportunity for stock appreciation.
Well, as most viewers probably know, China really controls the graphite market at this point, and the United States produces virtually none. Is it a real benefit for Americans, especially American companies that are using graphite? Is the relationship better to work with the Canadian in terms of graphite, or is it pretty much on par with dealing with China?
Well, China does control about 70% of the world graphite, and that won't change by very much over the next few years. There are a few companies that will be producing in 3 to 4 years. But the demand for graphite is increasing every year. There's a steady demand, a steady growth.
Right.
So I believe that China will continue to be a major force in the industry. But I also believe that Canada has some very good technology-grade graphite that will capture the higher end of the markets. And along with some purification technologies, we'll be able to sell purified graphite product for the lithium battery industry and many other industries that are just being created back to customers in China.
Well, it's really the new technology that's allowed graphite to really take off. I mean, everything that most consumers are using, whether it's cell phones or you're using your laptops, especially high-tech products in particular, and graphite's a huge player in that.
It certainly is, and that's why we refer to it as technology-grade graphite. Graphite has been used for hundreds of years in many industrial industries and sectors, including as a lubricant. But today, the new developments have been they use graphite as the anode material for the lithium polymer batteries. And like you mentioned earlier, there's all the electronic devices are switching to lithium instead of the nickel metal hydride batteries that we used to use, because they're able to they last longer. They can be recharged many more times than the nickel metal hydride batteries, and they're lighter weight. So you get a lot more energy in a smaller package.
That's right.
And everything today is miniaturization.
It's all about making it smaller, making it easier to access, and make it easier to carry around with you, isn't it?
Correct, it is. And also for the transportation industry, as the electrification of the transportation industry continues to take shape. Today's electric vehicles have $15,000 battery in them. That cost has to come down, and by bringing the size of these batteries and further developments in the lithium technology batteries will reduce the size, will reduce the cost, and make electric vehicles a lot more viable.
Exactly.
And when we say the transportation industry, it's not just cars or buses, it's also electric bicycles. There's a huge market in electric bicycles.
I know, I have one.
So do I.
Well, in a speech last year at the Industrial Minerals Graphite Conference in London, I'm going to read this, folks, you said you're preparing to introduce some novel processing technologies into your production and operations. How critical, and we've probably already touched on quite a bit of this, but how critical is reducing your costs? We understand there's a huge component with your final selling price. So how intrinsic is that for the company?
I believe that cost reduction and efficiencies, continued improvements, is a key to any business, especially when we're competing against China.
Right.
Even though the market is growing, China will always be a major force and a major player. And our goal is to be able to use technologies to reduce our costs, be a lot more competitive, and also be be able to produce a higher technology product that we could sell back into China.
Right.
We would love the Chinese industries to become our customers and our partners, not only selling product into the U.S. or Europe or Japan, but there's a huge market in China.
That's right.
So we want to be a part of that.
Well, it sounds like you're on the right track. And, and you talk about reducing costs, and that's something that investors are really interested in, because when you reduce costs, of course, the investors get really value for dollar for their investment, don't they?
They absolutely do. And, there's there's nothing gross about profit. So the more profit we can generate for our shareholders, and the better for all of us.
Well, as always, I'd like to give the listeners an opportunity. You're going to have the last word here, and maybe you can tell our investors or potential investors just what is going to make Focus Metals the investment they should be looking at.
Well, I think we've touched on a number of things, but I believe that our ability to participate in some of the higher end markets by using our expertise in the sales and marketing side and our experience in that area, as well as some of our processing technologies to create materials, with graphite that are needed or can be used in high-tech applications. And that's where the higher profit margins are. So I believe that we will definitely be very successful in that area. And the fact that we're a little bit ahead of the game in terms of positioning our financing. We have, like I mentioned before, $27 million in the bank today, and that will carry us right through to where we need to build the processing facilities. So I think we're very well positioned, and we've performed quite well over the last couple of years since the company started, and we just we believe that growth will continue.
Absolutely. I've been talking to Gary Economo. He is the CEO of Focus Metals. Focus Metals can be located on the internet at www.focusmetals.com. It also trades on the TSX under the symbol FMS, on the OTCQ under FCSMF, and on the FKC under FKC. So thank you very much. Gary, always a pleasure to talk with you, and very happy to have had an opportunity to share your knowledge with our viewers. And remember, Focus Metals.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll see you next time, viewers.